Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm in the office taking care of business, paying bills as usual, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Hope you guys are grinding forward, staying on your programs. Hope you're going to have a good weekend. Maybe you'll go do something fun. I've been cleaning up my bookshelves. I have so many books. I need to buy another bookshelf. I have stacks of books just sitting in piles on the floor. So I've been trying to organize things, and I found two books that I've had these books for 30 years, I think, easily for 30 years. One of them I recommend, the other one I don't. So this one's interesting. The Emperor Wears No Clothes by, who is this by? Jack Herer? Yeah, Jack Herer. And this is all about the marijuana conspiracy. And it will teach you a lot about why marijuana has been illegal and the industry around it and all that stuff. This has been a best-selling book for many years, and it's very informative and it's interesting. Now, another book which I found, and I remember buying this book years ago from a very sketchy little, like, bookstore in Los Angeles that had some really weird books. This is the Anarchist Cookbook. Don't buy this book. This book is worthless. It's a piece of shit. It's full of lies. It'll tell you how to make knives, how to make explosives. It'll tell you all kinds of information that should be illegal, booby traps, all kinds of stuff. It's a bullshit book. There's nothing in here that works. But I just haven't seen this. I remember buying it, geez, so many years ago. Another thing I wanted to show you. I don't know if I talked about this, but this is Thierry Mugler, Angel Men. This came out in 1996. I bought this from a Cologne store here in town that has vintage and discontinued colognes. They also have all the popular stuff, but they have a shelf of like old discontinued stuff. So I bought this brand new in box. This is Angel Men. Now, you may recognize the star pattern because that comes in the new packaging. This came out in 96. A few years later, they repackaged it, changed the formulation, and changed the name. They changed the name to Amen. So this is Angel Men, the very first. This came out in 96. This is the first gourmand fragrance, and gourmand basically means it smells like food. This has a kind of a chocolate and coffee smell to it. This is very strong stuff. A couple sprays will go a long ways with this stuff. I can't tell you how different it is from Amen because I've never smelled Amen. I've only smelled Angel Men. And I dig it. I like this stuff. So I'm kind of excited that I got this. This is a piece of cologne history just because it's the very first gourmand fragrance that ever came out. Let's jump into our topic today. I just want to go over this briefly and talk about life is about choice. The reason why your life is the way it is because of your choices. Now that's hard to hear for some people. I lost a friend over a conversation like that because she didn't want to accept the fact that she was responsible for the outcome of her existence. The reason why life is the way it is was because of the choices that she made. She wanted to own the narrative of victimization, like many people want to own. I know lots of guys that want to be victims, and you ask them, why aren't you more successful? Why can't you even pay your bills? What, you know, all these why questions about how come you're not doing better in life? And they'll give you answers of victimization. They'll even start drawing at straws and tell you about slavery 400 years ago, as if that somehow ruined their life today. They'll come up with any reason possible of why they are the way they are and why everything sucks. And it's not their fault. They're perfectly innocent, great, wonderful people who just got dealt bad hands, right? So many of us like to think that. Taking personal responsibility will set you free. And It doesn't mean that you own some belief that the abuse or the trauma that was delivered to me was deserving or that I caused it. But what you take responsibility for is where you are and where you're going. This is what reality is right now, and you have a choice moving forward. You always have a choice, and people who don't think they have a choice are weaklings. You have a choice. It's an incredibly weak narrative to say that you have no choice, that somebody else decided your fate. A buddy of mine who just got back from New York, and he was telling me about his family, and he also went to Pennsylvania, a couple different places, and we were talking about his trip. But he was talking about his cousins in the Bronx and how they're still on the block. They're still out there selling dope. And they've been out there selling dope in the Bronx for like 30, 35 years or longer. And he was kind of telling me in this way, like, these guys are real deal hustlers, you know, these are real gangsters. But at this point in my life, I just look at that as sucker shit. It's complete loser, sucker bullshit. Life is about choice. And he very condescendingly explained to me, as if I grew up at some spoiled brat with a silver spoon in his mouth who doesn't know nothing about nothing. I mean, I was born homeless. I lived in the ghetto until my mid-30s. I joined my first gang, organized gang, at age 10, was jumped in, had to fight my way into a gang at age 10. I went homeless again at age 18. Would you go to college, you go to the military, you went and got a job? I went and lived out in the streets like an idiot loser. So I know poverty, and I know what a bad choice is. It's one of the regrets I have. They say no regrets. I have regrets. Because I'm a human being who can look back on my life and say, yeah, I wish I would have made different decisions. I realize a lot of decisions that I had were my own choice, bad choices, choices made by an idiot. I remember when I was in the streets, and there was one guy in particular who lived on my block across the street. I lived in the barrio, Beach Flats, Santa Cruz. Sureños dominated the neighborhood, but they had 2 or 3 other Mexican gangs that were underneath the umbrella of the Mexican mafia. So everybody's kind of down for each other, although rivalries did happen, and they had a river that split the flats, still there, San Lorenzo River. On the other side of the San Lorenzo River, it's still the flats, but it's a different section of the flats. And they actually have a gang over there, and I tell a very funny story about that rivalry that my side of the flats isn't really down with. But, you know, they kind of get along. But they're not enemies, but it just depends. If somebody fucks up, then they could be enemies. And I remember this guy that lived across the street from me, who he looked like he should have been with us on the block. But he wasn't. Every single day I saw him emerge from his apartment, go to his car, and drive off. Every once in a while, when he had time, he'd stop, give people the fist bump. The neighborhood had a little handshake. Everybody in the neighborhood knew the secret handshake. He might smoke a joint, take a hit or two, laugh it up for a second, and then he'd go back up in the house, take care of his family, take care of his wife. He was going to community college a couple nights a week at night, as he working in the day full time. I believe he had 2 jobs. He never sold drugs, never once. He was never a criminal at all. And he lived in the same neighborhood we did. What's the excuse we had? We all had this excuse that we're from the flats and this is why we hustle. Why do you do that? Why are you gangbanging? Because I'm from the flats, fool. He's from there too. It's about choice. It blew my mind that there were people from the flats that weren't part of nothing. They lived down there and they had nothing to do with nothing. That was mind-boggling to me. How did you do that? How did you accomplish that? I couldn't figure that out. I was too weak. It takes a lot of strength to have conviction, to say no, to stand on your morals, to do the right thing, to make less money at a real job with a boss rather than sitting on the block selling dope. Some of these guys can make $1,000 a night. They claim to make $1,000 an hour. I talked to one guy, claimed that he's making $4,000 an hour. And it's like, oh, well, you must be the king. A couple hours of that, then you just what? Go buy a house? No. The guy's on the block for years and years. So my buddy from New York is trying to explain to me how his cousins are still hustling after 35, 40 years because they don't have a choice. Life is about choice. You woke up today with a choice. You have the same 24 hours as Elon Musk, as Donald Trump, or me, or your neighbor across the street. I had the same 24 hours as homie across the street. And for years and years and years and years, I chose to get weaker and weaker, dumber and dumber, more and more crazy. I chose that. And then I complained about my trauma to the world. Oh, poor me, poor me. Message for the day, stop being a bitch.